All right, guys, we're here for another episode of the Whale Club Hangout series. It's hard to imagine we're already on episode 13. Again, we have Zane from BitFinex. He's been a long time Hangout veteran. We have some things to go over with BitFinex concerning the AlphaPoint integration, their UI, UX, some of the things that happened last week. We don't have Bjorn from BFXDATA, but we do have Lowstrife, one of the TradingView mods. So he might be able to articulate some of those points we weren't able to go over. But since we're doing these Hangouts very consistently, I think we'll be able to get Bjorn from BFXDATA on eventually. As always, you can find the panel mostly over at the Whale Club TeamSpeak, ts.whaleclub.io. And so we'll get into the questions, and I think first and foremost, Zane, uh, with what was going on last week, I believe it was Wednesday for most people in the U.S. Why don't you, we knew that some people were ending up in positions larger than their collateral. Accounts were reflecting really large negative balances and large losses. There's a lot of panic around that. So basically, take us through what happened, kind of the explanation of the chain of events to lead to these errors, and then what has been done to prevent this going forward in the future.
All right, so what had happened was we were doing we were working on the integration of AlphaPoint and implementing the new trading engine. And one way that we could speed it up was with we have two checks for the margin call, for our margin calls, or sorry, not for the margin call, for the margin check system. So basically, there's one when you place an order and one when the order goes to get filled. So when you place an order, our system checks and sees how much leverage you're currently using, and make sure that the amount that you're trying to open wouldn't put you over the limit. And then the other one just kind of confirms that before the order is completed. And so we have these two filters or checks, and we disabled one of them under the impression that that one would be sufficient in making sure that users weren't able to over leverage themselves. And for some reason, one of the filter that we had left on malfunctioned, and so users were able to over leverage themselves. And then this kind of doubled up with some of the lag, and so users would hit close 3 or 4 times. And so if you had, let's say, a 10 BTC position and you hit close, it'd go 10 BTC the other way. So if you were long and short, or go ahead and sell the Bitcoin, and then if you kept clicking close, it just put in the 10 BTC, 10 BTC, 10 BTC, and then when it caught up from the lag, it basically go 30 Bitcoin the other way. And so some users were over leveraged because the margin check system wasn't going, they're not allowed to open this many orders, or they're not allowed to have that much of a leverage position. And once we realized that, we went ahead and put the other filter back on right away, and that fixed the issue. And so right now, it was really a simple fix. We just had to make sure that both filters are on at all times until we switch over to the new system, at which time we can reevaluate how everything works and see what we want to do.
All right, and I can only speak to what I've seen over at like kind of on TradingView, and more specifically on the TeamSpeak channel. So are all the users' accounts that were effective, had they been righted and lost funds returned? And then, what was kind of the size of this problem from like a fund BTC loss perspective?
Anybody who contacted us, we sorted them out. We got them fixed. So if there is anybody out there who that says, I had an issue and it hasn't been fixed, just tell them to open a ticket, or send an email to support, or contact me, and we can get them worked out. But yeah, we did go ahead and reimburse or reinstate any of the users that incurred losses from that. There were some people that were saying, we were trading on OKCoin and you guys hurt the market and I got margin called. And things like that, that we can't really control how a market reacts. We can only control our own platform, and so obviously we didn't do anything for those traders, but we took care of our users. As to the amount, I know that the vast majority of the people that contacted me, it was generally quite a small amount, like $50, $100. But the overall amount, I'm not too sure. Giancarlo took care of most of the reimbursements. I just went ahead and got in touch with any of the people who had problems and sent them on to him, or notified him of the issues. But the total amount, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It's not too much. Most of the people that I talked with it was a rather small amount.
yeah. I mean, any of the traders that are trying to kind of reach for the fact that they were on another platform and were affected, I mean, they just need to kind of grow up and take some responsibility that they're trading Bitcoin, and this is, these are the way the markets happen. That's just a ridiculous. I'm glad you addressed it in such a cordial manner, but I'm going to be more blunt to those people and pretty much laugh at them. But one thing is I will say that I've been in positions where something's going on with the exchange, and it's like a race to try and get to support, and you're waiting to hear something back, and it's like a really scary and sheer moments of terror kind of time for a trader. Are you going to be having like a more active Twitter presence? Because I seen a real firestorm go on there.
Well, we hadn't really been using Twitter, and so it was my opinion that people weren't going to be going to Twitter to look for updates. But some people said, "Hey, why aren't you on Twitter?" And if there's any demand for it, it's an easy problem to solve. So yes, over the past couple of days, we've been responding to people like AKW Adam, like we got in touch with you. And yeah, so I'll go ahead and be active on Twitter from here on out.
Yeah, and just Twitter and Reddit. I'll just kind of include both those. I seen like I could really sympathize with a lot of the people that were on there. Just like they the uncertainty around their account, waiting to hear back through support
Well,
and email.
Reddit is kind of that's where I deal with most of the users. So anybody that got on Reddit, I generally get back within an hour or two, unless it's at night. And so I kind of if anybody said that they weren't getting any contact on Reddit or weren't seeing any updates on Reddit, then I'm just not too sure where they were looking, because I was active in the thread, put updates in the daily thread, um, and tried to respond to anybody who had issues.
Yeah, I did see your daily thread post. I'm assuming that probably the guys over in markets wouldn't have had a problem if you did a separate post specifically with the official announcement. Sometimes the daily thread gets kind of noisy and stuff gets lost in there.
I did think about that, but shortly after posting it, it rose to one of the top comments, and it was pretty early on in the thread, so I thought that it'd be sufficient. But yeah, and I posted as well in the original thread about the issue, so I thought posting those two areas would be good enough.
Fair enough. And Airlock, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, part of what we intended to ask was what they would be doing to prevent this problem in the future with the repeated close order, because there wasn't both checks in place. But I wanted to make a comment on, I'm not somebody who deals specifically with these kind of software problems, but to me it seems like there's still potentially a design and an implementation problem where your design and your system for closing an order, I feel like it should be in the system as a separate type of order where somebody shouldn't even be able to do it twice. Never mind whether there's a check or not to make sure they're able to, but a close order should be specifically to close an order, and then if it's put in again, it shouldn't be allowed to because there's already a close order open. Whereas it sounds like the system is designed such that when you hit close, all it really does is market sell the total amount of coins you have leveraged.
I see what you're saying. And to be honest, I'm not sure if how it's set up. Whether or not that is if the close order is another, but to my knowledge, I don't believe it is. But that's something that I can talk with the team about and see if we can do something along those lines. But I'm also not sure if there would be any potential complications with something like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, you can see a little bit in OKCoin, right? Like close functions differently than market or other types of orders. You can't just close
but
won't just market repeatedly.
OK coin's also a little bit different because on BitFinex you can't have two simultaneous positions, right? With OK coin I can have a long and a short. So going
Right.
short that wouldn't
Sure,
go
but
ahead.
that's not relevant to the specific, kind of design error we're talking about. I'm just talking about how you shouldn't like you can't close something twice in OKCoin, right? It closes a totally separate function than say market. Whereas in Bitfinex, even though it was, partially because of the allowing the second check being removed, but that second check, all I feel it was doing was protecting you from this design flaw in the first place, where you shouldn't even be able to have more than one close order at a time.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for the input. I'll talk with the team, and I'll be sure and give you an update on why it is how it is, or if there are potential reasons that potential complications from having it that way, and I'll give you an update.
And then the other thing I mentioned to Giancarlo, but just for this benefit of everybody, if it's of any interest to them, I also feel the implementation seems like odd. I know, you know, ideally it seems like you'd want to have two separate systems, make all new users go into the new system, share the same order book, but have the systems be totally redundant, except the new system uses AlphaPoint, and then have people voluntarily move over to the new system, and then eventually have a point where it's been in use enough where you just force everybody over. It seems a little dangerous to be playing with putting it online for 10 minutes and then taking it offline.
Well, that's not exactly what we were doing. Was having it on for 10 minutes and taking it off for 10 minutes. It's just having it running in the background and kind of having it tested. Right now, there's only one matching engine that's matching all the orders. There isn't two competing engines. Um, it's just during the implementation, we're making sure basically that we're running the alpha point with all the trades that basically with all the information that our current matching engine is getting, and making sure that the results from the alpha point engine are error free.
Well, that was obviously more than that because your testing affected the live exchange.
Yes, but there at no point did we have two matching engines competing or two matching engines going live at the same time.
Right, that's not what I was saying was happening. I was more suggesting that it seems like it should be a separated implementation method rather than one that's, kind of modularly boxed in. But anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on the topic. I'm just sharing my thoughts on it. I don't know if they're good or bad.
All right. Well, thanks for the input. And if you'd like, I can get you an input, or I can get you a response maybe on
If I can
why.
just come,
Go ahead.
Flipper.
if I can just come in, I was going to say, John, I can tell you they are bad. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Liver.
Okay. Transitioning now as we've brought up AlphaPoint, we'll get kind of to their feature set first, but we're kind of at a larger view here. What does that relationship with AlphaPoint and BitFinex, ultimately look like? Is there some risk associated with the fact that BitFinex has kind of outsourced most of their back-end work to AlphaPoint? And then, are there any worries, like if AlphaPoint would be like acquired by a competitor or such like that? I think these are all very, starting. I can kind of start to see it as far as concerns for BitFinex if that's how development is going to take place in the future.
So the two concerns that you have are one is having an outsourced backend, and then two, AlphaPoint being bought out.
Yeah, what if a competitor would come in and buy AlphaPoint? How would that affect, the operations of BitFinex with that relationship in place as far as them handling, you have to first tell me to
Well,
what
first of
extent.
all, I think that's a big if. That
For,
isn't that's not the way
surely.
that AlphaPoint's that's not really AlphaPoint's business model right now. Right now they're white labeling their technology. And so we can add a lot of ifs to a lot of scenarios and kind of get worries, but um, we did a lot of due diligence before making this decision, or they did at least, because I joined the team. And they have a very close working relationship with AlphaPoint, and so I'm sure that this is all something that was kind of hashed out beforehand, and um, we will continue to work closely with AlphaPoint going forward, and it's not really a worry for us at all, of AlphaPoint kind of getting bought out and leaving us floating in the water or anything like that.
All right. Yeah, it's
Oh,
just. Go ahead. Sorry.
and then the other one was, are we worried about outsourcing our back end? Um, no, I wouldn't say at all, because one is we're focused on building the trading platform, and AlphaPoint is, they're very good at what they do, which is the matching engine, and so when we get that integration complete, we'll have a matching engine that blows the rest in the exchange, or the rest in the industry, out of the water. Um, and so we will have like the first completely professional, um, I mean, highly tailored matching engine in the industry. And so, yes, outsourcing it does mean that we didn't do it ourselves. We didn't build it ourselves. The flip side of that is we dealt with people who are better than anybody else in the industry at doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely echo that whole last section that you just said. I've met the AlphaPoint guys, and I've gotten to know them much better as far as their background and then what they've been building. And I'm very impressed with what they're doing. Even the speech that the CEO gave at the Miami conference, which I'll include in the show notes, I just think he really understands the space very, very well. More so than even some of the exchanges themselves that I talked to in New York. They just really get it. So I will say that that partnership is very big with you guys. Both parties involved, and I'm super excited to see what is going to come out of this. And I think we can, then transition now into some of the things that are coming out, that are right on the verge of coming out, and then future projections. So I know we were talking about WebSocket. Can you take us through what's going on there? Is some of the documentation come out with that, and just how that benefits the users? I have some questions, but I'll let you kind of intro that.
So do you mean with what we've already kind of have?
Yeah, you have.
So, um,
Let's
here,
see.
I will send you guys, give me 1 second. You can kind of see what we're working with here. I'll send you guys a link in there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that.
and so you can take a look there, and then hold on, let me get the documentation. The
Now,
complete.
just go
Sorry,
ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go for it.
Um,
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, so I just because it's coming out of Nomad, and I know Nomad has, he's out of Chicago, and he loves his API related questions. So he says here, WebSocket support is pretty much needed to do live trading, and AP's matching engine comes with it. Can we expect near ticker and trade history reporting? Side questions on WebSocket: will WAMP be supported? Has WebSocket broker availability and scalability been tested?
Okay, so first question was, is WebSocket something that's coming in the near future? Correct? That's the first
Uh,
question.
Yeah, comes with
So
AP's matching engine.
right, AlphaPoint, they offer. Here, I'll go look at that. But yes, AlphaPoint does make adding, the WebSocket API very easy. And so as soon as we complete that integration, that's something that we'll be looking to do. Right now, we were focusing on getting the feed to a WebSocket instead of a polling request or AJAX, and so that on the trading interface you can kind of have the live updates. Um, and here I'm gonna go pull up the comment from him real quick so I can get the rest. Okay. Should I just go down Nomad's points here then?
Well, I don't really want to dwell too much. Just kind of address it if you see some high points there.
Yeah. So basically, once we get the AlphaPoint integration done, WebSocket's one of the things that we'll really be working with, working towards. And I've had a lot of requests. Pretty much the main request that I've had from users is for WebSocket feed and a WebSocket API, a WebSocket feed on the website and the API. Quite a bit more than fix or anything else. And so that's something that we will be going for. And then for the other question about WAMP, I don't know. I'll have to ask. This is something I'll have to look into.
All right. Yeah. Fulber, did you have something to weigh in on this?
No, it's all right. It's all been covered. It's fine.
And I'll go ahead and try and respond to Nomad more detailed in that thread later.
Well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, what I was going to say was like say like AlphaPoint's kind of the back end, the trading engine, if you like. I mean, is it like all the accounts and bank like is Finex's kind of like end deal at that point the banking provider and the user interface? Is that where like the whole kind of like is just totally separate now?
Sorry, can you clarify? So are you asking if the entire backend, like all the user information, is stored by AlphaPoint?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so to that extent. Yeah.
They're just going to be our trading engine, and people can plug in through their APIs to trade, but we'll still hold the user information, the user accounts, and they'll just be the trading engine. And
Can people plug directly into AlphaPoint and bypass BitFinex, or?
Well, they can. I mean, if you plug into the AlphaPoint API for BitFinex, you're plugging into BitFinex. It's not
Okay.
one or the other.
Okay.
All right. So, Adam, do you have something to add?
Yeah, just real quick. So, just to be clear, the AlphaPoint integration is not completed. Is that correct?
It's not live. It is
Okay.
right now. You're not trading on the AlphaPoint engine.
Okay, so just FYI, even if there's a remote possibility of these kind of lag issues happen again, I'm probably going to be reticent to move my coins back on the exchange. Just make it perfectly clear when AlphaPoint is live and working and is going, and I'll be back.
We'll be, believe me, we'll be perfectly clear on that.
Okay.
But just something to kind of paint this in an image why we're being so careful is, let's say that we're 99.9% sure. That means 1 in 1,000 instances will cause problems, but 999 out of 1,000 will be fine. If that one instance happens, not only does it hurt us, it hurts all of the Bitcoin industry, right? Yeah. If people just start losing money, the trading engine goes haywire. People are going to be screaming GOX 2.0. So we want to be 99.99999% sure and know that we're not going to run into any issues. So we're really doing every test that we can think of, every extensive test.
That's my
two. We'll be sure to let you guys know when it is live.
Okay, good. That's what I had. Thanks, guys.
Can I just add something else in as well? I was just gonna say, you're talking about Twitter before, Zane, and like its importance and role and stuff. I mean, it's hugely important. I mean, first place anybody goes to check, I think personally, has got to be Twitter. They'll be retweeting any updates and everything. Yeah, I mean, Reddit. Yeah, Reddit, but Twitter as well is huge.
Well, yeah, that's fine. Going now, now that I know that people do have been looking for answers on Twitter from BitFinex, that's an easy fix. I'll just be on Twitter. There's no problem with that.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, Zane. I mean, having set the standard in the Bitcoin exchange space is what, every PR and, member being involved with the community is, because you set that standard. So you know what we expect out of you, and that is clearly one huge piece to have that presence. So,
Yeah.
that.
Well, moving forward, I'll be on there. I'll be taking control of that, or I'll be handling it. And I know that Raphael keeps an eye on there as well, and he actually responded to you, Adam, earlier. So Raphael can help with the tech side of things, and I'll be handling, the just more the PR and support side.
Yeah, I mean, it was super awesome to be in contact with Giancarlo on TeamSpeak during that, and kind of see the problem identified and to stay informed on it. And I know he was working on there directly with users to get their accounts resolved. So, I mean, that is just, there's always different elements, and some people don't want to be on TeamSpeak, some people don't want to be on Reddit or whatever. They have their forms of medium that they get in contact with you. So I think it's moving the right direction. Just we're always very demanding.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys give us the demands, and we'll meet them.
Awesome. And
And there's no reason not to be on Twitter, right?
yeah,
It doesn't take too much time, and so it's an easy fix. Yeah. So going forward, I'll be on there.
yeah. I mean, you might have to put up with some memes that like Calmo and I make, but just see it as a term of endearment. I mean, if your exchange is being made fun of by like Camo and I, it's probably a good thing, because we don't make fun of exchanges that don't really, we're not aware of.
I gotta, I can laugh at myself. I got a good laugh at that. But still, by far, my favorite meme was the deal with it, with CZ. That'll go down in the history books as my favorite meme.
And so I know Low Strife has been patiently waiting. Did you have something you wanted to bring in on the subject matter, sir?
Yeah, to a degree. What I was thinking of is that I know one of the features of AlphaPoint is that they can combine liquidity between different exchanges. So if another exchange comes online running that software, do you think that it'll be able to help like liquidity pools? Because I know we have so many different exchanges nowadays that, available liquidity is spread thin. Do you think AlphaPoint could help with it?
That's a good question. Now that I've worked for OKCoin and BitFinex, I do know that all the exchanges are already tied into each other. They all have everybody is still doing arbitrage, and everybody is trying to when they need the liquidity, they'll tie into the other exchanges. So I'm not sure to what extent, but could it help? Definitely. It's just I think it'd be an improvement of something that's already there. Because as is, it's not like the exchanges aren't connected and aren't tied together.
Oh, I didn't know that to a degree.
So Zane,
A lot of the exchanges, yes, they are tied to each other and plugged into each other. And like when I was at OKCoin, I know that Huobi was connected to us and had quite a few accounts, and anytime there was a lot of movement, would try and they'd pull liquidity from OKCoin.
So
So
Zane,
will be themselves pose the liquidity? It's not like people running private bots and such?
Well, there's a lot of people running private bots as well. I think that you get the market makers versus, is it the exchange, or is it just the exchange's market makers that are tied in and pulling liquidity? But
What about Bitfinex specifically? Do they pull liquidity or push liquidity
I know that a lot of
directly?
people are tied into Bitfinex. I don't know. I don't. There are no exchanges that we're tied into that I know of.
startling revelations.
All right, Flipper. And like now that I kind of want to push forward in this hangout, and now that we know AlphaPoint integration is on its way. and they're going to be releasing their version 2. Can you give us what you know as far as what capabilities they will bring to BitFinex? One specifically that I had of interest is on that, again, I'm referencing that Miami conference AlphaPoint presentation where they had like 18 order types. What order types is BitFinex looking to bring on? And then just overall, what additional functionality that you can talk about?
So one of the things that we're really kind of looking forward to and kind of looking towards going with is the derivatives options markets, and so we think that AlphaPoint's the first step towards going to that, and once we get that, we can do the daily crossover and really start to work towards having sort of a standard daily price for Bitcoin, because it's a 24-hour market, so it's a little bit different than other places, like the stock market. And so once we can kind of establish that, then we can work towards getting the options, and AlphaPoint's going to be the first step in that. But as for order types, this is something that after we go with AlphaPoint, we can really start working on, and just for example, stop limit and some TWAPs and some of the algo order types.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that list is very appetizing, coming from a listed background to see the development now into, like the standard being set initially by OKCoin with their icebergs and such like that. That was a huge, move that it's definitely helped my trading immensely, to reduce cost and to just be a better trader. So those tools coming in is very valuable to us traders, and that's why I'm hoping you'll be looking for input from us as well as to pick some of those order types.
I mean, I'm always looking for input, so you don't always have to wait for me to ask. Give me what you want, and I can work, and I'll write that down and make sure that everybody on the team is aware of it. But definitely, once we get done with the AlphaPoint integration, actually, right now I think I'll start. I'm going to start doing a lot more with the UI and stuff, and so I'll start looking for a lot more input from some of the traders.
Well, yeah.
So, like, for example, if any of you want to be part of a a test group or anything like that, please let me know, and I can add you to a group, and we can kind of work together and kind of work a little bit more closely.
Yeah, just on that UI UX front, I know it's a very large and abstract endeavor. Is there anything you want to kind of articulate that you see specifically from that? Because that's a lot of things that I hear is the UI issues.
My biggest question is, what is the general opinion of the full screen trading? Like, I know Coinbase went that. OKCoin has their full screen trading. I know Bitstamp has theirs. And I've had very, very varied feedback on. Some people say it's useless because they're going to have another screen open anyways, so there's no reason in having a complicated trade page when they're going to have a screen open that's going to be copying a lot of the information that the full screen would have anyways. And then some people say it's all they use.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost like a dogma that goes on in the crypto trading sphere. It's funny because I was just having the same discussion, and I believe like the charts should have its separate page from order entry. I think the chart basically messes up the order entry page, and it becomes less efficient. That's my belief. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people that disagree, and maybe Flipper, you'd want to weigh in.
Hugely. I mean, me, Vix, and I can't remember who else were literally talking about this, and we were saying that the OKCoin normal user interface is the only user interface none of us have ever moaned about. It's so simple. Just got everything you want, really compact, really clear, and loads of access to information. But yeah, I mean, I just use a standard one because my monitor's wide enough to have the chart on one side and the trading stuff on the other side, so I can just quickly just jump straight in. But that is my favorite design of all of them.
I think the way that Bitstamp does it's weird. It makes it look like cheap as a brand kind of issue, like how it switches over to a black website, when you're trying to trade there.
Are you referring to their trading interface or the full screen trading interface?
The trade view thing, the full screen.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And I agree with them. I don't think you need to have like all kinds of indicators and a complex chart and order book on your order making page. I think the OKCoin futures page pretty much has what you need. But I'll say that you could probably, something I've at least wanted to try, I don't know if it would be that much better or worse, but rather than have a full screen layout, why don't you just have a modular layout that you let people choose what elements to include on their page?
That's something that I've seen before, and I actually quite liked the layout that I saw that used that. I can't remember what it was, but there
TD
are.
Ameritrade does it a little bit, but not anywhere near what I'm picturing. Like more like you would see in project management software and that kind of stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but go ahead, Zane. Sorry.
The problem that you get with that is it can scare users. And so what I mean is that some people come in this and it's just too much. They don't know what I should have, what I shouldn't have. And instead of getting like the best trading experience, they can kind of take away something that they don't think they need, but then in reality they do need it, and then they find that it's not the best experience, and so they'll leave. And go to somebody who has just a better concrete setup. But I do agree that for some users, the users that know what they want, the users that know how to exactly what they're looking for, that can be a very advantageous layout.
I'm with you 100%, Zane. I'm not a fan of those kind of plug-and-play setups. And I think it's almost like counterintuitive and counter-logic that people say, well, I want everything on one screen. In this day and age, nobody operates on one tab. So the chart is on a separate tab. Charts are a completely different source of information compared to that order entry, and that's why I like it so much. I will say, with the full screen interface on OKCoin, I tend to have just the upper right corner of it, which is the time and sales and the order book, and I love to see that move. That is probably the most important piece of information I get off that page, because I do not use it for order entry whatsoever.
Yeah, I think the best thing about the OKCoin full screen one is that you can zoom out on it and actually see where people's orders are placed, and just having the full easy graphical depth view of the order book is that's important. But yeah, I mean, I'm with Vix. I mean, I like to keep it simple. Order entry is a whole different data set and loads of information that you need versus the other one. But I know what John's saying as well, and I think if you go modular, but default is OKCoin, so default is just completely normal, and then you just unlock it, and then people, it's like the hidden thing. It's hidden away. It's there, but
you don't make it look like they have to choose shit. You just put it like in an advanced area, and you can edit the layout in a totally separate URL. You know what I mean? You edit the layout in the settings area, then you go back to the normal area, and you can see what you've done.
I mean, I was just gonna say they haven't done AlphaPoint yet. I mean, there'll be years if we get going on ideas.
Well, that's actually two unrelated things, because I'm not working on AlphaPoint. That's not what I do. But I can work on the UI, and so while they're working on AlphaPoint, I can work on that. And just two completely unrelated projects that could work in tandem.
And you guys are talking about the order book. One easy use I could see for a modular layout would be, if you cared, you could move, and you have a big monitor, you could move the order book from BitFinex all the way to the left side, so you could see the full height of it, of the height of your monitor, rather than seeing the top 10 orders at the bottom of your screen.
All right. Did any of you open that the WebSocket link that I sent you?
Yeah.
The bfwx.bitfinex.com.
Yes.
So is that kind of what you're looking for in terms of the order book?
That is certainly one component of it. What I would like to see on that page is the time and sales. I'm not at my computer. The time and sales is not on that, correct?
No, it is.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Goes down to the second. So the last trade was at 12:42:48 a.m. Well, my time.
Yeah, I see that, Zane. I mean, the thing that I'd add is, not only do you want like to be able to see the order book, you want to be able to like. I mean, the best order book viewing software thing that I liked is the what's that desktop app? You know, you trade on Stamp and Finex with it.
The QT Bitcoin trader?
Yeah, QT Bitcoin Trader. You can view each order individually. You can group by 0.01, 0.1, 0.5, you know, so you can like group the orders as well. And on OKCoin futures page, which is absolutely perfect, all you want to do is get rid of that left-hand navigation, because once you're on the futures page, you're not using that anymore. So get rid of that, and then on the right-hand side, put the graphical order book, and underneath it, the ticker of all the trades. You know, maybe that would be a
I agree with all of that, and I also want to add, what I like about the current BitFinex order book on the web interface is the kind of heat mapping it does, where like bigger orders get a darker green or red shade.
Oh yeah, absolute must. QT Trader does it great. It's got like 3 or 4 different color schemes for the bulk of the order, so absolutely brilliant.
All right.
And I just wanted to give one more. Are we done with this issue? Sorry, Zan, didn't mean to cut you off.
There is one other question that I'd like to ask real quick.
Sure.
Let me load the page. What do you think? So you guys said that you like the color code. What do you think about like the bar to the side of the order? The first people that I saw do that was, I think, Melodic, and then OKCoin kind of took that as well. To show the size of the order, and so I guess you could double up the shade and the bar, or would you just pick one? Or
I think just do the color coding. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
The shade is
gray.
great.
Yeah, I mean you don't need the bar. The bar takes up too much pixel space when the color coding works. So.
All right. Perfect.
All right. So
I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, I have one UI-related question or suggestion. The whole like exchange wallet to margin wallet. Why can't you make that into, rather than a full page, something that pops up, and it's
100% agree.
much more seamless than this kind of convoluted way of going about it? Because I think in the heat of the moment, it really like confuses traders. Like if they're sitting on their margin trading thing, and yes, they can view that their balance is not right, and they need to go over and exchange and that page and move the funds over. But why isn't there just like a fund button where they can hit it?
Actually,
it pops up.
What I want to do is, if you look to the right and see where it says deposit, I want to have a little drop-down arrow. You click that, and it'll just drop down that deposit button into 2 fields, and you choose where you want to go to where, and then just put in the amount right there, so it's all on the same page.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, so pretty much like a fun button, but yeah, same thing. And then the withdrawal would have the same option.
Zane, while I've got you here, I was just going to ask about BitFinex swaps. Like at the moment, the API for it is just kind of like quite basic. I mean, and also I've heard people moan about like easily being able to like identify and work out how much the profit was or whatever from swaps. Have you got ideas on improving that or what?
So just basically a better accounting software.
Yeah, better accounting for swaps, and better maybe like APIs for swaps. And if anybody else got any thoughts on that in here.
This is something that I'd like to take a couple of you guys and show you some of the things that we're working towards, and get some feedback on it. But yes, absolutely, that is something that that we want to do, is just do better accounting software. And I know that I talked with you guys about that, I mean, about a year ago now, when I was at OKCoin, is doing some better accounting stuff. and you said yes, that'd be great. And when I came over to BitFinex, I kind of echoed the same thing, and Phil was like, "Yep, that's something that we want to do, and it's something that we're working towards." And I got a peek of what we have right now, and yeah, so that's what we're working towards.
Hold on, Flipper. And Zane, for that like focus group, what would you say? What would you say if I did that? Got the guys at Whale Club over on TradingView, on Reddit, and we kind of pooled together a team, and we were able to, get input and source that from everyone.
Well, then I think it'd go a long ways towards helping build the exchange that you want to see.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly that. I mean, really, whatever it is you're doing right now, we need to see it and like give you some feedback on it because everybody knows what they want. So, we need to get the voice out there to tell you guys.
Yeah, and so something that is kind of gonna become my number one thing to do over the coming months or days, weeks, whatever, is start going over the UI and start building, designing basically a new site.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's not a small thing, but first, do take some small steps, but at the same time, work towards an idea of what we want to see on the bigger picture as well.
And that revamp is very badly needed for UI. Even one of the memes that like Camo was using to make fun of Finex, he was even commenting how how awful the Finex logo is. So it's a good joke, but it just kind of goes to show like what's really needed. It's just kind of a symptom. Obviously the logo is one of those things that it's extremely important for branding and stuff, but I mean we all want the functionality aspect of what the UI experience gives us.
And this is something that I was talking with Phil about earlier, is I think that the UI was really good when it didn't quite have as many features, but then when you start to add everything on, it didn't really scale as well. And so we need to build something that is more fitting with the currency pairs that we have, like BTC USD, LTC USD, LTC BTC, Darkcoin. When you have all these different options, it just doesn't quite fit as well into the site as it did when there were much less options. And so that is something that we realize that we need to go ahead and work towards fixing.
All right, and then we were hoping to get, like I said, Bjorn from BFXDATA on here, but we do have Lowstrife. I know Lowstrife has been talking with him quite extensively on some posts on Reddit. Lowstrife, are you able to come in and tell us about that and just kind of how it relates to Zane and what he's doing as far as work and ultimately to us traders?
Well, at least one thing I'd like to see is a way to integrate. I know TradingView has an input that you can take Quandl charts and have like a live stream of extra market data and put that directly into a chart in TradingView. So that could be one application where you have like the live BitFinex swaps be, directly input into a TradingView application like that, so you can see and have a little more dexterity than just the default charts that are on BFXDATA. And there's also a few more things as well. I mean, the whole
how can BitFinex help you with that? Is basically what I want to get at now that we have Zane here.
Well, it also could be where you have not a separate site as well, because the two sites are independent of each other. Maybe some official BFX support where you have it integrated on their site as another page that you can see, just like the level 2 order book as well, where you have more information along with that. You have the swap stats of the whole market.
All right. Yeah. I can speak with the team and see about integrating kind of merging the two more. I'm not sure how Bjorn feels about that, and BFXDATA is his site, but I'll definitely make a note of that and see about see what we can do in kind of making that easier to navigate and easier to deal with.
All right, yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on it because it's a little unfortunate we don't have Bjorn here himself to, you know, to make those kind of statements and commentary. But I just wanted to kind of briefly begin the discussion as Low Strife. I know he's been talking a lot on TradingView about it and some Reddit posts as well. So I just want to kind of now bring this thing down to kind of a close and see if there's any loose ends or questions that we have coming in. Flibber, did you source that question from Cratch? Do you want to bring that in?
Yeah, I mean, it was just some comment from Crack saying that he found the wallet system on Finex to be the hardest, most confusing thing, and that the swap market was confusing. And I actually needed to hang out with somebody and find out how to do it when I first got on there. I didn't understand what it was about. There was no like little, like you get like a little question mark next to it. You click it, and maybe it's a pop out with some more information. And also about the swap thing, I mean, I even tried to do it recently. I tried for quite a long time before just giving up. So possible other areas that might be worth looking at.
All right. Then if you don't mind, Flipper, could you send me just some of the more like details of what was the issue, and I can see about solving them. But no, I'll be sure and just realize that or make a note that on the whole it's confusing and we need to simplify it and make it a little bit more usable.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I'm just gonna I know I see Airlog was talking about possibly doing tutorials and such like that, and I saw your response saying that you say if you can get the UI right, it almost becomes so intuitive that you don't really need to go through that process. And I really couldn't agree more. I mean, many people that are traders, I know like Goat over there on TradingView, he's kind of picked up the ball with the blog and doing videos and stuff. So there's a lot of abundance of that, even if they don't get it right. People kind of figure it out through like crowdsourcing the YouTube videos. But if it's intuitive enough to understand, that is your tutorial essentially.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I do think though that there's a point like where you have to identify whether the problem you're solving is a UI problem or like a demographic problem with your audience. And so thus UI might not be enough. In other words, maybe people's confusion with swaps isn't just like what specifically happens in the UI or how they work on BitFinex, but like just what's going on here. Like maybe they just need an explanation. So if this is somebody who is your audience, maybe you just explain to them in that little question mark, BitFinex leverage is provided via a public swap market, which has lenders and borrowers, and you know what I mean, and just explain what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one thing that we're working on currently is an updated FAQ. And I think that that'll definitely help. That'll go towards answering a lot of the questions that people have about the swaps market.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kind of looking through the Reddit feed right now and seeing if there's somebody. A lot of these questions have really been hashed out like over the last year plus, so I don't really want to get into them. But is there any kind of concern with running the swap market and then kind of the regulatory front creeping in? I know that's probably just an overarching question, but I'm assuming you guys have thought about that to some extent.
I think to some extent it's kind of playing it lightly. We're always trying to make sure that we are up to the standards and up to the requirements for regulators, and making sure that we are that we're not outside of the regulations in any way. And it's not like we're not in talks with regulators, and we're just kind of doing our own thing and crossing our fingers and saying, hey, we hope that they don't come after us eventually. So it is something that we do stay aware of. It is something that we monitor and talk with regulators about, and I'd say that we're not too worried about it.
Is BitFinex in contact with American regulators at all?
With them, I believe so. That's not really my area of expertise. That's But yeah, I know that we're not just kind of blind about it. We do have Phil in New York, and we have talked to them before. I'm not sure how active, but yes.
Yeah, and I hear this question a lot, and it takes the form of just like, I mean, you can take it as far as you want it. So let's just kind of agree that this is the current climate and go from there. And I know there's a lot of exchanges now that have received banking charters and are basically what I say is they're trying to buy trust. And I think in the crypto trading proper group that I consider us all of a part of, really that means shit. I mean, I give them props
Can't
for
buy trust.
yeah, I give them props for going about it in that way, and they can tell me they're going after different demographics or institutional funds and whatever. But the trend isn't that is not the trend currently. The volume is massively offshore, and the way that all of us in crypto, and I'm making like a reach out to the traders that trade crypto every day, is by getting to know people at the exchange and the communication that you guys have back to us and that two-way street, because I think that has been a much larger part of my gaining my trust than any banking charter or whatever regulator board could do. And I just want to reiterate that point because their functionality and the money they've spent on getting those things, I think they're going to lag so far behind as far as product development. You know, and they're just hindering on those aspects of it. But I just wanted to bring that point out because I've gotten some flack for some of the posts that I've done. And maybe Flibber or someone wants to weigh in on that because that's I met Phil, I met Giancarlo at the conference. They've been around on TeamSpeak a lot. You, like I said, you set the standard over at OKCoin, and you've continued that to be the best PR guy in the industry. And that's something that means a tremendous amount to me, and it can't be bought.
Well, thank you. And as Airlog said, it's nice to feel loved. But yeah, I think people say that well they're regulated, and so that means that everybody can trust them. Like regulated entities haven't had issues or haven't lost people's money or haven't caused any damage in the past, and we all know that isn't true. And I think that being vocal with the traders and trying to build a product that they want to see, if I have a fully regulated exchange and it has a banking chart or anything like that, and nobody wants to use my site because it's not usable, then in the end, you're not going to gain the users. And so one thing that I like to try and do is work with the traders and build the exchange that they want to see. And some of the exchanges don't take that route. They kind of take we'll build an exchange and kind of expect that everybody will like it because we've made advancements on other fronts. But so far, I don't think that's really played out too well. And I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly, I welcome the competitive nature of those groups, and I wish them the best. Maybe there's some insincerity in what I've said there, but yeah, I'm glad they're here. And I want to wrap this down. It sounds we're approaching the 1 hour mark. So, I thank you, Zane, for coming on. I know that we're going to try and do this on a monthly basis. Sometimes it doesn't end up completely monthly, but somehow we always end up with things to talk about, which is great, and to keep that line of communication going. Hopefully we get BFXDATA. So with for the panel, you can find us all over on Whale Club, ts.whaleclub.io, and we'll see you later.
See ya.